Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you're watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from France, and we're going to talk about Emmanuel Macron, the French president that you see right here in the photo. So, during our update video with the Russia Ukraine war this morning, I let you guys know that Emmanuel Macron was going to be holding a speech later in the evening in France on live national television, and he was going to be addressing the nation to talk about Russia's growing threat to Europe. Okay, so if you look at your screen here, Macron to discuss with allies possibility of French nuclear deterrent. President Emmanuel Macron raised the possibility of France offering nuclear protection to its European partners, warning that the continent must confront the growing threat from Russia. Okay, so he spoke for about 13 minutes. He talked about so many different things, but this is definitely one of the biggest topics that were discussed. Is we're going to see France, along with their European allies, talking about potentially spreading French nuclear weapons across Europe to protect their nations. As we know right now, Russia being a threat to Europe, depending on how things end with this war with Ukraine, could it potentially be a threat to Europe in the future? Could be highly likely. We'll have to see how things play out. But Europe is definitely worried about this, and they believe that if they expand a nuclear deterrent across Europe, maybe this will prevent Russia from ever attacking. But let me show you guys this information. Let's hop on over to AP just for a moment. So we're going to briefly go over this article, not the entire thing. I just want to show you guys some of the things he was mentioning. Then we're going to jump on over to X, and I'll show you guys a 2-minute clip coming out from that speech tonight of some of the things he was discussing. So it says here, Macron says he'll confer with allies on protecting Europe with French nuclear deterrence. Okay, this is coming out today on March 5th, 2025. And it says right here, French President Emmanuel Macron said Wednesday he will discuss with European allies the possibility of using France's nuclear deterrent to protect the continent from Russian threats amid concerns over potential U.S. disengagement. Okay, so they're obviously worried about the U.S. pulling their troops out, pulling support even inside of NATO. Could the U.S. pull out of NATO? That could be a possibility also in the future. And if that happens to be the case, well, Europe's going to be completely on their own without the protection of the United States. And if Russia decides to roll into the Baltic nations or maybe Poland or who knows where else, even maybe Moldova after Ukraine, we could definitely see a major security situation over here that's unfolding. So this is what France is preparing for. And it says here, France is the only nuclear power in the European Union. Macron, in a televised address ahead of a special European summit Thursday, described Russia as a threat to France and Europe, and said he had decided to open the strategic debate on the protection of our allies on the European continent by our nuclear deterrent. He said the use of France's nuclear weapons would remain only in the hands of the French president. Macron's moves come in response to a push by German election winner Friedrich Merz, who recently called for discussion on nuclear sharing with France. EU leaders are set to address the issue of nuclear deterrence, among other topics, during the Thursday summit in Brussels, focusing on support for Ukraine and European defense. European NATO allies have for decades counted on powerful U.S. deterrent. Okay, so there's a little bit more information we'll go over here. It says Europe's future does not have to be decided in Washington or Moscow, Macron said, insisting that the innocence of the last 30 years, which followed the 1989 fall of Berlin Wall, is now over. He also went on to say that Russia is now spending 40% of its state budget in military spending, with plans to expand its army by 2030 with 300,000 additional soldiers, 3,000 tanks, and 300 jet fighters. Who can believe that today's Russia will stop at Ukraine, Macron asked. So the video that I show you guys will talk about that. So yeah, he's stating that by 2030, Russia's going to increase the amount of soldiers they have. They're going to get more tanks, more fighter jets. So he's basically saying, who thinks that Russia will stop at Ukraine? Will they continue into Europe and attack European nations? Could be a possibility if Russia's building up their military, right? I mean, that's what we saw at the beginning when Russia attacked Ukraine. They started to build up all their forces along the border. Then they said they weren't going to attack, and then all of a sudden they went in, right? So it says here, allies need to make sure Russia would not invade Ukraine again after a potential peace deal is signed, Macron said. This means providing long-term support for the Ukrainian army and possibly deploying European forces, he said. Those forces would not fight on the front line, but they would be there. On the contrary, once peace has been signed, to guarantee that is fully respected, Macron detailed. He said that a meeting of army chiefs of staff of European nations willing to be involved is to be held in Paris next week, okay? And then as far as I know, tomorrow too, we should have European nations getting together for an EU summit tomorrow, and I believe Zelensky's going to be there as well. So Ukraine's president. Okay, so now let's jump on over to X and let me show you guys this clip coming out from Macron tonight. From Megatron Ron breaking, French President Emmanuel Macron, in an address to the nation, rejected a ceasefire in Ukraine. He declared that peace in Europe is only possible with a weakened Russia, calling the country a direct threat to France and the continent. So yeah, he definitely came out today and stating that Russia is a major threat to Europe and that this is something they need to do to deal with this, and talking about the nuclear deterrent as well. He discusses a lot of different things in this video. There will be subtitles at the bottom, but it is in French, okay? So just letting you guys know, about 2 minutes long. Take a look at this.
La guerre en Ukraine dure maintenant depuis plus de 3 ans. Nous avons, dès le premier jour, décidé de soutenir l'Ukraine et de sanctionner la Russie. Et nous avons bien fait. Car c'est non seulement le peuple ukrainien qui lutte avec courage pour sa liberté, mais c'est aussi notre sécurité qui est menacée. En effet, si un pays peut envahir impunément son voisin en Europe, alors personne ne peut plus être sûr de rien. Et c'est la loi du plus fort qui s'applique. Et la paix ne peut plus être garantie sur notre continent même. L'histoire nous l'a enseigné. Au-delà de l'Ukraine, la menace russe est là et touche les pays d'Europe, nous touche. La Russie a déjà fait du conflit ukrainien un conflit mondial. Elle a mobilisé sur notre continent des soldats nord-coréens, des équipements iraniens, tout en aidant ces pays à s'armer davantage. La Russie du président Poutine viole nos frontières pour assassiner des opposants, manipule les élections en Roumanie, en Moldavie. Elle organise des attaques numériques contre nos hôpitaux pour en bloquer le fonctionnement. La Russie tente de manipuler nos opinions avec des mensonges diffusés sur les réseaux sociaux. Et au fond, elle teste nos limites. Elle le fait dans les airs, en mer, dans l'espace et derrière nos écrans. Cette agressivité ne semble pas connaître de frontières. Et la Russie, dans le même temps, continue de se réarmer, dépensant plus de 40% de son budget à cette fin. D'ici 2030, elle prévoit d'encore accroître son armée, d'avoir 300 000 soldats supplémentaires, 3 000 chars, 300 avions de chasse de plus. Qui peut donc croire, dans ce contexte, que la Russie d'aujourd'hui s'arrêtera à l'Ukraine? La Russie est devenue, au moment où je vous parle et pour les années à venir, une menace pour la France et pour l'Europe. Je le regrette très profondément. Et je suis convaincu qu'à long terme, la paix se fera sur notre continent avec une Russie redevenue apaisée et pacifique. Mais la situation que je vous décris est celle-là et nous devons faire avec.
Okay, guys, so what do you think about that? He obviously talked about a lot of different things, but ultimately, mainly what he's talking about is the fact that Russia's a growing threat to Europe, okay? So what is Europe going to do about this, okay? Is that whenever they start to deploy these nuclear weapons, maybe they deploy them to other Eastern Front nations also, I don't know, maybe the Baltic nations, just kind of throwing some names out there, maybe Poland or something like that. And if they get nuclear weapons over there, will this prevent Russia from attacking them? He talks a lot about, Russia starting to ramp up their military operations and build up more troop numbers, build more tanks, build more fighter jets, whatever it might be that they could use to attack Europe in the future. And there seems to be this number going around, right around like 2028 to 2030. We keep hearing from multiple European leaders that Russia could attack them around that time. And then this timeline lines up as well when he's stating that by 2030, Russia could have a lot more troops and equipment. So, I mean, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Russia will attack Europe in the future? And do you think this is a legitimate threat that Emmanuel Macron is talking about? Or do you think that there's nothing to worry about and this is a lot of just saber rattling for no reason? And after this war with Ukraine ends, that'll be the end of it and you'll never see Russia attacking Europe ever again. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.